A report from Shai Davidi dropped the other day about a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. possible extension with the Toronto Blue Jays. They've had these discussions, but nothing concrete has came out yet. So we'll break that down on this episode of Jays Digest, as well as the insane home opener that we witnessed yesterday against the Detroit Tigers. So stay tuned for what's coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, before we get into anything today, I want to give a special shout out to Owen, who I saw yesterday at the home opener at Rogers Center, and Corey as well. He was actually sitting right next to me, and he just looked at me. He's like, "Are you Peter?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "I watch all your videos, man. Thank you for all the work that you do." And said we got him into the Jays a lot more than he was previously. So that's just great to hear. But the big news out of Jays land is the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension talks. And there's nothing too concrete yet, but they are working on it. And we both know, Nick, that every game that he plays, he gets more expensive.
Yeah, and this article dropped like an hour or 30 minutes before the home opener. Of course, you were at the home opener, which we'll get to in a little bit here, but it was a bit of a bomb. Now, like you said, nothing too concrete, but the fact that they're having talks is important. But make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 7K. But let's get into it. Vlad and Jay's extension talks, and let's just pop up the article now, dropped by Shai Davidi, saying the Blue Jays and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. held discussions about a long-term deal, but the talks, quote, haven't reached the point that there's something serious. Who said Vladdy, who would love to be here my entire career. And I'll just pop up some tidbits from the article. So in a brief interview ahead of the club's home opener Tuesday, Vladimir reiterated that he would love to be here his entire career, but the talks haven't reached the point that there's something serious about it. And this is kind of interesting. He says, "We're good now." He continued through his interpreter, quote, discussion leading to a deal isn't going to cause me any stress. I'm going to take care of what I've got to take care of, which is on the field, and the rest I'm going to leave to my agents to work with. I know who I am. I know my value. We're going to keep having conversations, but my focus is every day on the field. And before we get into the other two little quotes he had, Peter, what are your thoughts on this? Are you happy? Are you a bit upset we haven't seen any steam, or do you think just the fact that they're having conversations is a good starting point?
Well, it's a little worrisome, that first part of the quote there, where it says, "We're good right now." And that's a little bit worrisome to me because things could sour if they don't work something out soon. But I'll give Rafael Devers as a good comparison for what to expect on a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. deal. 300 million over the course of 10 plus years. That's the starting point. And anything below that is just a low ball offer for one of the best hitters in the planet and a guy who's 24 years old who's already been an MVP candidate and probably would have won an MVP if not for a guy named Shohei Ohtani, right? So I think they got to get on it. And if we are going to still use Devers as an example, he signed his deal with 1 year of service time left before hitting free agency. Now, Vladdy has 3 years left. So if they sign him within the next 2 years, then he's on the same timeline as Rafael Devers. But I'd like to see them get something done soon. He wants to be a Blue Jay for a long time, but you don't want this to drag on. You know that he's got to be a big part of the puzzle if you're ever going to win a World Series, and you can't really play around with that.
Yeah, and ultimately I think they're going to get it done. It's just a matter of how long it takes. And the way he's been hitting to start the season, it looks like he's going to continue to play himself into a massive contract, which is why the team and the sides didn't agree on a contract last year after his, quote, down year. But some more information here from Shai Davidi saying the Blue Jays have him under control, like you mentioned, for the next 2 years after this one. So there's lots of time remaining to get the deal done from both sides. But the closer the players get to free agency, the more difficult it becomes to keep them, especially given that on his current trajectory, Guerrero is looking at salaries in the neighborhood of $20 million next year, 25 in 2025, if not higher in his 2 year. And of course, another factor for the Blue Jays is the other players like Guerrero, Bichette, Romano, Bassett are all eligible for free agency the same time that Vladdy is. And then he wraps it up by saying, quote, everything is different. Every front office is different. He said of seeing his peers extended. This is Vladdy, of course. I know who I am. I know my value. Hopefully it's here because I want to stay, but business is business. We'll see. I hope I stay here. So good things and bad things. Obviously, business is business, but he keeps reiterating that he wants to stay here, and I can't see Rogers letting him walk away. However, it's going to be inexpensive. Any final touches on that before we move on?
Yeah. Well, that part that you said that those guys are going to be free agents by the end of the 2025 season, that's something notable. Now, maybe the Jays don't want to commit to him long term because they don't think they can win, and that's another possibility. They don't want to give $300 million to a guy just for him to play well but not win anything. So if that's the case, if you're looking at it that way, where your window is just these 3 years, these next 3 years, where you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., then you might as well sell the farm and try to go all out here, don't you think? Like, and that, I'm talking like trading Ricky Tiedemann and trading everyone in your farm system if you think these are the 3 years that you have in your window. And now I don't want them to do
Yeah, I don't
that.
think
I
there's
don't
any
think
way
they
to. Yeah.
I don't think they should do that. But at the same time, we got to look at all the different factors here, and that's probably a scenario, probably one of the worst case scenarios.
Yeah, and I'm hoping it's not one that they, because realistically, Vlad is a cornerstone player for a franchise. I think that's the more likely conversation to have for Bo Bichette for sure, though, coming up on that rather than Vladdy. But it's a very good
I
point.
agree.
I think there's a higher chance that they let Bo walk than Vladdy, no doubt in my mind. I do think that ultimately they will sign him, but it was some notable news, and hopefully that they do it sooner than later, so we don't have to stress about it throughout the season. But either way, clearly not affecting Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who was playing unbelievable and continues to play unbelievable as the Jays won their insane home opener yesterday. And Peter, you were there, and I'll let you quickly touch on. We
Yeah.
have a couple of clips, and I'll pop up the box score here later. But what were your thoughts in the game? What did you? Here's the box score here. What were your thoughts in the game? You were at the home opener. Who impressed you? Dalton Varsho did well. Springer, Bichette home runs. Kirk home runs. I know a lot of you guys have already, saw the stream yesterday. But what were your thoughts being at the arena, the new renovations, and things like that?
Yeah. I just think it was one of the cleanest games that the Jays have played all year, and I was very lucky to be there. I had great seats. I saw everything up close. I was a little disappointed with Alek Manoah's start. Hasn't looked right this season. Even in the Kansas City start, he was getting hit around pretty well, but he just couldn't find his slider yesterday, and he kept going back to it, and it was not what you wanted to see. But I'm still not worried about him. But the offense just exploded. The bullpen was phenomenal. Kevin Kiermaier, that was his game yesterday. He just took it over, and if he wasn't a fan favorite before coming to Toronto and playing his first game in that home opener, then you guarantee that he was leaving that stadium yesterday, because look at this catch. I mean,
Oof.
just unbelievable. That wall was made for plays like that. And of course, Kevin Kiermaier is the one to get it all started and kind of get the monkey off the back in a sense. We're robbing a home run on that 8 foot wall. It was just a great atmosphere, 42,000 plus people. And that's not even counting the people just standing around and walking around the Rogers Center. It was great to be there. I really hope you can come down sometime, Nick, because that was just special, man.
Yeah, the plan is to go there sometime soon. But like you said, unbelievable game into Kevin Kiermaier. One of the better catches I've seen on TV there. And
Oh
touching
yeah.
on touch on a couple other people. A bit. I touched on the stream yesterday. Of course, you weren't there. Biggio has not impressed at all. He's looked pretty bad recently. And Vladdy had a bit of an off day. But other than that, everyone got into the action. Matt Chapman continues to be absolutely unbelievable at the dish. And Brandon Belt, shout out to him. He had a horrific start to the season. Horrific road trip. He comes back in and was hitting the ball very, very hard. So it was great to see that. And overall, I agree with you about Alek Manoah. I will say, though, it is good that he battled and got to 4 1/3 innings. He could have just folded and given up after. Manoah's never going to give up, but he could have done bad there. But Zach Pop, unbelievable game out of him. I don't know what it looked like in person for you, but on TV he had some of the nastiest
Oh
movement I've
man.
seen, and he was just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, you saw the movement up close as well. It's very evident, and just the swings that the opponents were having, you could tell that that ball was moving and it was funky coming out of that hand. So shout out to Zach Pop, first ever Canadian to get the win on opening on the home opener for the Toronto Blue Jays. So pretty cool stuff right there. Shout out to Zach Pop.
Yeah, very good stuff. And the game overall, like we said, was pretty fun. And Peter, I'm jealous that you were able to go there and see some great stuff out of them. But let us know in the comments what your thoughts were on the game and who you impressed you the most and who you maybe want to see playing more or less going forward. Because for me personally, maybe get Whit Merrifield in there instead of Kevin Biggio as much. But I'll leave that there. And quick final topic before we do wrap up the video. It's about the roof. It's finally open. And Peter, yesterday, I'll quickly ask you about, since you were at the game, what was the atmosphere like with the
Mm.
roof closed? I think that's several home openers in a row where the roof has been closed. It is open tonight for Wednesday, April 12th evening game, the second game at Rogers Center. What was it like having the roof closed?
It was loud in there, man. It was real loud, and it was a beautiful day outside. I'm honestly disappointed that they didn't open it for that home opener, but there was a lot of wind outside, so I feel like we would not have seen as many home runs as we did yesterday if the roof were open. So today should be a different one. I was there in the morning as well before I got back into Montreal, and Weather was super nice out there. Ball should be flying today. Lefty on the mound for the Tigers. I'm really excited for this one, and just yeah, it's a beautiful day, beautiful sunny day in Toronto, so
Yeah,
it makes sense.
it's gonna be exciting stuff. So if you are going to the game, let us know in the comments how it was, and if not, it's gonna be exciting to see the roof finally open on TV with the new renovations. But that'll wrap up this video. Thank you guys for the support. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.